I mean, as a keeper of ferrets, you are well aware that sometimes mammals turn into snakes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But ferrets are like 99% the way there already. Dogs have a much lengthier transition, I would assume.
I mean, being a lengthy transition is part of what makes Polo so snake-like. I mean, look at that enormous curvature.
Ferrets pretty much just lift their paws a little bit and they become a snake instantly.
Like this thing broke like right before I got it situated. Are you familiar with legless lizards?
You mean snakes?
No, that's just it. They're kind of like snakes, only they're not. They're legless lizards. They're a real thing.
Is the difference like in the head or something?
I mean, they're a completely different species of creature. They have
Wow.
completely different DNA. But they're just a lizard with no legs.
Just a different evolutionary path to the same
Basically.
outcome.
Yeah. There's another type of larger monitor lizard. There's monitors and there's tegus, which are like super similar, but they're also different species. They're like just two different forms of like giant lizard monster that grew up on different continents. They're so cool. Man, I love reptiles. Let's just talk about reptiles for like an hour. What's your favorite reptile?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about that. Do we count dinosaurs as reptiles?
Well, no, of course not.
Oh.
I mean,
Polo's upset.
this is an amateur hour.
Oh.
I mean, I guess it maybe should be, given that you are clearly a reptile amateur.
Yeah. I'm more of a ferret guy.
Finally.
Polo, are you a reptile?
Yeah, he's a snake.
That's right.
That's where we started with all this.
I forgot. Hello. You're a snake.
Polo, you're such a good snake. Shucks. Well, given that we've depleted the reptile portion of our show, let's get down to brass tacks, I suppose.
All right.
What's going on? How's it going?
Going pretty well.
Good. So you've been for the past few weeks goofing around a bit with this Breska character. It's been a lot of fun. He's got a staff. He can jump in the ocean and not die.
Crouching tiger, hidden dragon.
Yeah. He's very adept at just floating wherever it is that he needs to and saving lives. But little do people know that you used to have another character. There was another character played by you at one point. Do we remember who that is? Do you remember?
Yes.
Think back to the farthest depths of your memory.
December 2016.
Yeah, oh my God. What a different world that was.
No kidding.
Ooh. Okay, now we're in our own post-apocalyptic world. We are going to ignore the pre-apocalyptic world that we currently live in. We're just going to focus on the hell that lies in front of us.
Well, otherwise known as Uric.
Yes. Well, no. I mean, Uric is the light. Uric is like the last bastion of hope for all those who are decent in the world.
Antoria has a differing opinion on
And
Uric.
so let's. Why don't you give us just a quick summary? Firstly, of what Uric or what Antoria's experience is with Uric, and then why it is that he has left the party to return here.
Fair enough.
Catch us up.
Sure. Antoria was actually born in Uric.
Okay.
As far as he knew, he was cast out into the streets at a ridiculously young age. He had no memory of his parents. He survived by being a indifferently talented thief. He managed to get by. It was a pretty tight existence.
Mm-hmm.
In the course of that, he came into contact with the Veiled Alliance and managed to get recruited by them as an apprentice.
Oh, yeah.
Never formally joined. He never got that far with it because the Purge happened, which was when a certain party member Templar's sister led the Templars in an assault on the Veiled Alliance that, as far as Antoria knows, wiped out every single member.
Mm-hmm.
Antoria fled the city, and at that point, joined up with the party, and most of our adventures, except for the very short percentage where we weren't recording and streaming yet, can be found on YouTube.
It's true.
But in the more recent course of those adventures, he got some information from a traveler he ran into that his mother was alive and that this person knew who she was. and managed to convince him by humming a little bit of a song, which when Antoria masterfully managed to reproduce that despite no musical training, natural 20s. And when his friends, I think, both also rolled natural 20s.
It was good. It was good.
There were a lot of natural 20s that were rolled, but the basic idea was that his friends helped him identify that song and played the whole thing for him, gave him even more information. But the long and short of it is that, you know, he'd gotten used to the idea he was never going to know who his parents were. I mean, he had no memory to go on, no information, and in his usual logical sense, it said, well, there's literally nothing I can do about this. I'm just going to shove it aside mentally. We're good. And he managed over the course of his life to get to that point.
Sure.
But that all kind of got disrupted when he found out his mom actually might still be alive. Now he can't ignore it anymore, and in fact...
He's kind of had it on the brain, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, but it briefly sounded like the party wasn't going to... I don't know if allow him to go is the right sense of the word, but they were definitely not happy about the idea and seemed resistant to it. He kind of started losing it a little bit. I mean, not going insane, but he definitely became very short-tempered with them as a result. So finally, as a compromise, it was agreed that he would go alone to Uric.
I want you to keep talking, but ignore what I'm doing, and you guys ignore what I'm doing, because I'm looking at the cameras now, and I am looking like this, and you're looking like this, and I think this exact same thing happened with my Jeff session, where we're like both looking on the opposite sides of the screen. So if I just like shift them like straight past each other, it'll look like we're looking at each other like real human beings.
Okay.
Anyway, continue on.
Okay. So basically to resolve that, he's agreed to go to Uric, even though it's where literally all of his adopted friends and family were killed in a horrible purge. And Uric is, of course, notoriously extra hostile to wizards and arcanists, even by the standards of city-states, which, generally speaking, don't approve of them too much anyway.
My goodness, does it ever. Hamanu, the Sorcerer King of Uric, the Lion of Uric, the King of all the world. Maybe you've heard of him. He's super strict. He is a tough ruler. He loves his people, and he is perhaps one of the soundest like generals in all of the land. But everyone that lives in his city... Oh, excuse me, yes.
I want to dispute soundest general, because one of the battles he's known for is he marched his army over to Yarmouk, but was so pissed off at the queen of Yarmouk that he just nuked both armies and the city.
I mean,
he came home alone. It's pretty much what happened, right?
I mean, there's really no record as to like what was going on in his head at that time, whether or not he brought his whole army, maybe he brought like some...
He wiped out everyone who went with him.
Maybe he brought the parts of his army that weren't cutting it. He was like, you know what, you guys come with me. I'm gonna give you one more chance to prove yourselves. And they couldn't ante up.
They didn't get a chance as far as I remember.
Well, I mean, maybe he tried other stuff. There's no telling.
I mean, I don't know the exact history, but my understanding was he pretty much just marched there with his army, but was so pissed off by the time he got there. Oh. Oops.
Well, I don't know. Maybe now that you're in a city, you can ask him what the deal was.
I guess it is worth mentioning Entoria and Hamanu actually have had two brief instances of direct contact.
Oh, yes, please.
One was when Entoria, I think, was actually just considering using an illusion spell to mask Cade's amulet in a situation, his Templar medallion, in a situation where that would have been dangerous to have visible. I think he was only thinking about it, and the amulet kind of responded. And if I remember right, Hamanu's image briefly appeared, or something.
If I remember correctly, that didn't happen until Cade handed you the amulet.
Okay. So it happened when he handed the amulet. So okay. So, but like I said, it didn't happen in response to the spell. We never even got to that.
No.
Like, oh, okay, I get it. We're not doing that. Here you go. Have your amulet back. The second time was more recently when Cade fell into a coma. No one knew exactly what was going on. So after
Antoria sent him to another dimension.
I was getting to that. After a great amount of distance and planar disturbance failed to dispel the phenomenon, Antoria tried visiting his head with the dream spell and found Hamanu.
As you do from time to time.
And Hamanu more or less said, I don't remember the exact quote, I think it was something along the lines of, your time will come.
Yes.
And then dismissed him from the dream, which is impossible, but he's a Sorcerer King. Quoting the rulebook to a Sorcerer King is not something you
Yes, Sorcerer Kings, the gods of the world, can bend the rules of the 5th edition magic system in a number of ways.
It was like when Androphagus had 2 concentration spells going. I caught it and I was like, if I sit here and quote the rulebook every time Androphagus does something out of whack, we're going to be here all night. So.
Believe you me, I've wondered how to handle that, but I think that the idea, from like a rules perspective. But I think that if like a creature literally has thousands of years and infinite magical powers,
and infinite psionic power too.
Yeah.
I mean, someone with massive psionic power probably can partition their concentration.
Absolutely. That's the other thing to consider. Like in the 2nd edition stuff, these guys were like 40th level characters, which is to say that they could have crafted whatever spells they wanted, created new systems, used Wish to like warp their own abilities in certain ways. A certain amount of god moding, if you will, I think is applicable.
I think if you took raw stats, they could probably take most of the gods of other worlds in 2nd edition.
Probably.
Because they were like 30th level.
I would hope so. So, here we are. You have separated from the party for a time, riding off on your own across the Road of Kings westward, beyond Ram, beyond Raramuk. Yaramuk.
Yaramuk.
Yeah. It's like the dog version of Yaramuk. Only no one is dead there, because that would be very sad. Arriving after nearly a week's travel.
And caching the extra supplies somewhere, the food and water.
Yes. Talk a little bit about that.
So one of his plans as he was heading in is that he might have to leave in a hurry. The plan is to leave with his current mount, but if something goes wrong, he may not have time. So he's caching some extra food and water under a large rock that he found on the way there, telekinetically lifted out of place. Buried the food, telekinetically lifted it exactly back where it was.
That's sensible.
It's a nice big rock, easy for him or Tanger to find. Again, it's a pretty familiar location, and probably no one will randomly try moving a large rock to see what's under it.
Probably. Cool. Well then, after a couple more days of travel, you and your Crodlu have ridden up to the shining golden walls of Uric, City of Lions. You see it there before you. We've got a little bit of a map going on. There's I've got a book here somewhere that's got some neat text about Uric, and I so rarely get to read it. Hamanu boasts with good reason. Uric is a powerful city-state with teeming armies, enormous walls, bustling commerce, and wise sages, governed in an orderly framework established by the king of the world, Hamanu. Urik's legions have never met defeat, and, excepting the time Hamanu killed the entire army.
Well, that's not defeat he won. He was standing.
Yes.
It was 1-0 at
It's
the end
true.
of the battle.
It's
Hamanu,
true.
no
Yes. And Hamanu has never run from battle. Any decision of importance made in the entire region must consider the wishes of Uric Sorcerer King. Uric is highly organized and militarized. A variety of laws contained in the lengthy document known as Hamanu's Code govern commerce and taxes, specify holidays, set standards for construction and artistry, and dictate family arrangements such as weddings, care for elders, and funerals. Templars test Urikite children and assign them to the vocations for which they are most suited. The city aspires to be a meritocracy, but hidden webs of patronage and influence secure important posts and stations for people with the right connections. Although Uric seems stable and well-ordered, it is every bit as oppressive as any other city-state, perhaps more so, thanks to the number and efficiency of Hamanu's Golden Templars. So, there are 4 main ways to get into the city, unless you're taking another of those elven hot air balloons. Arriving by the Road of Kings from the east, as you are, you're probably arriving by the King's Gate, which is where most of the traffic comes in. But as a former resident of Uric, you know also that there's the Obsidian Gate that lies near the Obsidian Quarter to the southeast. That's the area with the big black pit that you noticed before. That's where a lot of the natural resources that they pull in arrive. Hamanu's city is known for its obsidian, as the best obsidian mines in the entire land. There's also the high road, slightly west over on the other side of the southern end of the city, that leads to the Noble and Templar districts, and extends south to Silver Spring, an oasis run by the Elven tribe. Actually, that Antoria met long ago.
The ones that don't exist anymore, probably.
There's no telling.
Ones that very likely don't exist anymore.
There was definitely a battle where a giant dinosaur skeleton fortress fought some elves.
With a lich.
But elves are good at running away.
I don't know, that lich wiped out the Veil Alliance pretty quick.
You know what? I got this wrong. Obsidian Way is up near the western end of the city. Yes, that leads directly into the city's slave compound, where both the miners work and the slave legions that make up most of the army.
Okay.
The other one near the Obsidian Quarter is the Trade Way.
Okay.
That one extends south to Nibide.
Okay. All right.
As busy as it is, you imagine you have no trouble getting in. There's the usual kinds of scrutiny from Templars as people press into the city, but I imagine you have some sort of cover imagined.
What sort of reasons would they usually accept without much question as a former resident of Uric?
As a former resident of Uric, well, if you're a former resident of Uric, people would wonder perhaps why on earth it is that you left.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to state that I was a former resident.
Sure.
Just, what sort of reasons do I feel like would be easily accepted about a lot of questions?
Well, it depends on whether or not you're trying to pass off as a particular profession of some kind or something like that. Like, in Athos, there's not a whole lot of reason to be on the road unless you're deliberately trying to go somewhere else because your family lives somewhere else or you're a merchant of some kind. Granted, merchants usually have cargo or something like that. So, really depends on what it is perhaps you're trying to pass yourself off as.
Interesting. Huh. Well...
Granted, you've got plenty of time to think about it. There's a small sort of tent city outside of the main gate and a large press of people as they are brought in. Basically like an airport security line where the Templars in their golden cloaks are taking a special care to make sure that they can verify everyone that's coming in or going out. They're not going out. I guess they don't really have much problem with people trying to leave the city.
I think he actually will. He'll go for the angle that he's returning to visit family. It has the virtue of being true.
That's fair. Fair.
Which will probably be helpful.
Sure. Templar at the gates looks you up and down, recognizes your accent, so doesn't mind too badly. Are you giving me some kind of a check in order to pass yourself off as just a simple traveler?
Sure, I will do that. Let's see. I assume if I can justify using skill, any of them are acceptable, right?
If you can justify any of them, sure.
Okay. I will try insight, and the way I will try insight is I will start with a simple explanation and try reading him as I'm talking to see how it's going and adapt what I'm saying based on how it seems to be going. Using that, I get a 10.
Well, granted, you're not necessarily at top form, but you're able to maybe listen to some of the other individual travelers that are coming through, listening to things that they're saying and pass off a little bit of that. And at that point, it's just more of the same. So he simply charges you the entrance fee.
How much?
5 gold.
Okay.
And hurries you along your way.
Excellent. Alright. And I entered at the default gate. So that's this one?
Yes!
Okay. And Tanger is not present yet, by the way. He's in his pocket dimension.
Gotcha. The King's Gate. Covered in murals of Hamanu as a young man, conquering the world and declaring himself king of all of Uric, and by extension all of Athos. There's a perfectly sculpted obsidian sculpture of him in the main plaza there as you come in, of him as a young man, sword in hand. And then beyond that is a tremendous tradeway. There's tons and tons of carts, small buildings, small outposts, mostly, regular entrant type of merchants along the way.
All right. Speaking as a former resident, would I happen to know where the main merchant house headquarters are?
Sure. So why don't we just give you sort of a general kind of overview of the city.
Excellent.
So that top section up there is the old district. That used to be sort of the high and mighty kind of district, but simply with age, it sort of depreciated and, less desirable elements started moving in. The nobles started building nicer areas in what had previously been the old part of town. And now it's sort of the place where the poor live, but also a lot of the freemen live, that kind of thing. Taking up residence in a lot of the buildings that at one time were actually quite nice, but have fallen into a bit of disrepair simply because there's not as much money going around.
Okay.
The stretch to the south of the merchant area that you're in is the artisan quarter. A lot of the, not necessarily merchants, but people that make goods and stuff like that are here in this area. Pottery, textiles from Uric are some of the finest, the most well-crafted in the land because they're made to such exacting standards. Only the best for Hamanu. South of that, that's bit with the big black pit that you were looking at. That's the obsidian quarter. The obsidian quarter is the crafting district specifically for the trade of obsidian. Remember I mentioned obsidian is one of the big chief exports for this city, and so they do a lot of working with it there. House Stell, the major merchant family, which the parties had some dealings with, has its headquarters there. But it also has what used to be this big quarry. They actually built the city on top of this big deposit of obsidian, which has mostly been mined out. But they have this big sharp hole in the city now, and they have a use for that because we live in a world where you have gladiatorial fights. So people who are condemned to the arena are chucked into this vat of knives, basically, and have to fight it out for the right to climb out.
I see.
They call it the Pit of Black Death.
Interesting.
Across from that other small disordered section is the foreign quarter. That's where a lot of the more shady elements of the city make their way. The Elven Market is tucked away in there. Then the larger section with the big block buildings, that is the High Quarter. That's where the city's nobility live. The High Quarter is particularly spectacular because it has these big black spires hidden through, or not hidden.
Is that what these are?
Yes, those are these enormous, crafted of obsidian spires that creep up into the sky. Only, of course, nobles and Templars are allowed to ascend to their heights. But those that do get this incredible view, not only of the city, but of the stars. Uric prides itself on its astronomers, believe it or not. They believe that the stars and the way that they move and the paths that they take across the sky can predict the future, can predict the seasons, can help guide the city on its way. As a matter of fact, it has some even bigger towers just outside of the city. You probably saw them just as you were coming in, as a matter of fact. There's these 3 great towers on a hill right as you approach the city.
Cool.
On the other side of the High Quarter is the Templar Quarter, even more ordered than some of the other cities that you've seen. Yes, with a great building in the center where the Templars are trained and basically report for their orders. To the north of that is the Slave Compound. That's where the miners and the teeming armies of Uric are housed. And then north of that is Hamanu's palace area, the area known, if you thought Pit of Black Death was melodramatic, Hamanu's section of the city is called Destiny's Kingdom.
It's a little melodramatic.
Which houses not merely, what is it called? What is it called? The Imperial Guard Barracks, where 1,000 half-giants, the Imperial Guard of Hamanu, are housed and trained and have their armory. The Hamanu's school, where children are brought and taught in various ways, particularly in like psionics and that kind of thing. There's the Temple of the Lion God, where the worship of the almighty Hamanu himself is proclaimed. And then there's the King's Palace itself, which towers over the rest of the city.
Okay. Ooh. Alright, well, knowing that, then I suppose I will begin heading over here to where House Stell is.
Right, directly to Hamanu's palace. I like it.
No.
You knock on the door. Hamanu's not home. Heading, I'm sorry, I was completely talking about silly stuff. Where are you going?
House Stell's.
House Stell?
Main location.
Got it. So you're heading south through the artisan quarter. Simply because of the way the city has been laid out, you pass by, you see that big sort of half moon stretch there in the artisan quarter?
Yeah.
That is the Potter's Square. It's impossible not to notice because it has this tremendous kiln in the center of it, this enormous building where every potter in the town can bring their wares to get fired. However, it's not lit up now. You know that it's not lit up until nightfall, solely because it's literally 140 degrees outside. It's sort of a dark sun.
Right, that makes sense. Okay.
Passing through, you continue on to the artisan quarter, make your way into the obsidian quarter, and it's all too easy to find your way to House Stell.
Alright. So what sort of layout do they have here for their main house?
Well, they don't really have much in the way of like a gate or anything like that, but it's a well-fortified place. Remember, House Stell trades in weapons of war. They have armor, they have guards, they have they build siege engines, they build vehicles, all that kind of thing. So in a lot of ways, the reputation of the house is shielded enough. They don't worry too badly about like thieves and break-ins and that kind of thing. That said, they have a fair number of well-armored, impressively trained guards out front.
Alright. Antoria will approach the guards that are out front.
They do not acknowledge you.
Alright, so the fellow we know from here is called Targ, right?
That is correct.
And
Tartan.
Would his proper title be Prince or Lord?
Probably Lord.
Probably Lord.
Mm-hmm. Prince doesn't get bandied about too often.
Yeah, I didn't think so given Hamanu's status, but I didn't know what the nobility titles were like
Sure.
for merchant houses. Okay, so Lord Targ. Alright, Antoria nods to the guards and says, "I'd like to speak with Lord Targ, if I may. Is he in?"
Looks you up and down. Couldn't say whether he's in or not. Could say less well whether or not you can speak with him.
He knows me. I did business with him in Golk. Rather important business.
What? You throw a couple of coppers in your bowl? Get on.
I'll have to try being a little more persuasive, it seems. Alright, another question from the Uric lore check.
Yeah, sure.
How does bribery tend to go over?
Oh my god, it's so illegal.
Okay, that's even like for merchants. I mean, not a Templar, that would be a different matter, but even merchants are like, no.
I mean, here's the thing. Everyone must be seen to be obeying Hamanu's law. It's not to say that bribery doesn't work, but right out in the middle of the streets, that's going to be a rough sell. Besides which, maybe even more so than Rom, Uric has a very clear sense of like who is noble and who is not. And just by association with Stell, these guys have clearly like placed themselves in a different social class than you.
Alright. Well, Antoria will redouble his efforts and make a different attempt. He starts talking about Nibene. He mentions the civil war that's going on in Nibene, specifically between the two factions, and says that he has information on a third faction that has not yet entered the war and may prove a valuable ally for House Stell if they wish to begin trading more heavily once House Sham was wiped out. He's actually going at this kind of from a historical perspective, making a big light of the fact this is the sort of opportunity that doesn't come around often, and he repeats his emphasis that he is known to Lord Targ, and that Lord Targ would probably be pretty interested in speaking to him about this. So based on that, may I make a history check to try and
Sure.
get this point across? That is a 13.
Guard 1 looks at guard 2. Give me a second.
Of course.
passes through the curtain, continues into the building.
Antoria waits patiently.
Give me a perception check.
18.
You hear a rude noise coming from inside the building.
What kind of rude noise?
Like a flatulent noise.
Like a House Sham kind of noise?
What?
The guy, he's kind of a gross sort of guy, wasn't he?
I mean, he cooed a lot and implied that he wanted to have sex with Marvin.
He also had bad dining habits, if I recall.
That's
definitely
true.
Something that could lead.
He was very slovenly. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's not impossible to imagine Sham making this sort of a noise. Yes.
Antoria kind of winces a little, but with the other guard still there, he doesn't feel like he can just walk off.
The other guard is as professional as can get. He's just resumed his attention, not looking at you, simply keeping an eye out for intruders. You don't have to wait too long, though. The other guard comes back with a curious package tucked away under his arm. He leans in close. Yeah, look. I told what you said to Lord Targ, and he said he is interested in opening negotiations with this third party. He gave me this to give to you as a sign of his goodwill. He passes you the package. It's like a big brown satchel, basically. It's kind of nice, actually. It's got a bunch of pockets.
How heavy is this satchel?
Not terribly heavy.
Not terribly heavy.
Yeah.
All right.
You get the idea that the satchel itself is maybe heavier than whatever's inside.
Insight check on this fellow as he's saying this.
Okay.
Seems like it might be a good idea. 23.
You get this feeling that maybe he isn't taking you terribly seriously.
You are wasting my time. Lord Targ would have met with me if my message had been delivered properly. Keep your rubbish, whatever it is.
Oh, no. That's for you to deliver. It's special, it is.
I'm sure it is. He leaves it in the guard's hands and walks off.
He's not putting his hands on that.
Well, then he leaves it on the ground and walks off.
Ooh, natural 20.
Uh-oh.
As you're walking, the guard kicks it pretty good, and it flies open and splats on your back as you're walking away. Both guards erupt into uproarious laughter.
Antoria stops and looks really annoyed.
I think it's an improvement, really.
How many people are around?
I mean, there's maybe like a dozen or so folks at any given point. There's, plenty of people going about their business. It's maybe like 11 o'clock in the morning.
And what did we... And we kind of said that the basics of using magic in this place are basically... You're not necessarily going to get caught at it immediately, but once they figure out you're there, you're probably in a lot of trouble, kind of deal.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, it's not going to, immediately set off their alarms.
Antoria shakes his head and walks off, seeming pretty angry, but not much he can do about that won't jeopardize things.
That's fair.
Where is the nearest well where you can clean the back of his clothes off?
Give me a survival check.
Okay. 18.
You're able to find one without too much trouble.
Alright, cleans his clothes off, grumbling to himself.
It's pretty gross.
He's not happy.
I can't imagine so. Thanks for coming over to my house.
No problem. That's what I get for trying to take the easy way out. The plan there was talk to Targ, get him to search the city.
Well, I mean, that's a good plan if you can get past the guards.
Yeah, Tori's thinking about that. The only problem is now the plans that involve getting past the guards are mostly magical in nature, which ups the risk of this plan considerably.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's trying to try the other angle first. So the dwarf's name was Basso, right?
Boro.
Boro, okay.
Yep.
Close. I'm trying to remember. Did he give any? Is there like a dwarven district?
He said that Aga was in the Obsidian District, actually.
Oh, in the districts. I even have her name. I forgot I had her name.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
You're not Antoria at all. Marvin!
It has been a while. It has been a while since that session. Alright, well, he will go to the nearest... What's up?
Just imagining, like, Marvin shows up in Uric. Like, alright, time to kill Antoria's mother. And whoever else I can get my hands on.
Alright, well, he will go to a tavern. He'll look for a specific kind of tavern. Not the worst one in the area, not the best one. Kind of a middle-of-the-roadish one.
Okay.
As a starting point.
That's fair, that's fair.
Assuming his clothes have been cleaned off adequately, he will enter.
Well, I mean, you know, what they said, you know, isn't wrong. I mean, like, you cleaned off this latest filth, but I mean, your outfit is not necessarily, like, capable of being cleaned in that amount of time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no,
even skipping the fact that you know, basically dress like a beggar just normally. You've been traveling in the desert for several months. I mean, it's kind of gross.
Fair. Maybe we should start with one that has rooms and maybe a bath.
A bath? Oh my god.
A sand bath. They must have some reason.
A sand bath?
Don't they have someone getting clean in this world?
Jeez.
It's never come up before.
I guess not. Well, I mean, no, I think someone has said you smell bad once or twice.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's fair, that's
There
fair.
must be some way of handling the problem.
Sure.
Not everyone smells like crap because they're outside.
Well, most people smell like crap, it should be said.
Well, then there we go.
But you especially.
Okay. Then looking for a tavern that looks like it might have some, even if it means going to a slightly better one, but staying in the Obsidian Quarter for now.
Sure.
We will look for a place of that nature.
Well, you are more than capable of finding yourself a dive bar.
Okay.
Yep.
Antoria will enter and approach the bar.
Sure. You're gathering information, I take it?
Yeah, he will try to gather information. He will mention, also first, he's leaving
Boro,
sorry. Keep getting that one wrong.
Man, did you not watch the episode where we got all of this information earlier today?
I was a little busy.
Oh my goodness. What, did you start a new job or something?
Yeah, actually. It happens.
Oh right, your computer died too.
Yes, that also happened. At a new job.
Oh man, alright, well let's recap a little bit. You're back in Tyre.
Wait, what? Okay, so he asks about Boro.
Mm-hmm.
He mentions that he knows he left the city with others as refugees heading towards the southwest, and he's basically trying to see if the barkeep actually knows who this is.
Yeah, that's fair.
Insight check to see how he's reacting to the description in the name.
Yeah, you could do that.
11.
So he's heard of refugees leaving town. He's not immediately familiar with Boro necessarily. Plenty of people have been leaving, and plenty of people pass through his bar.
All right. He'll also then at this point, Antoria will switch taps and also mention Aga.
You don't know your own mom's? Well, I guess that's why we're here.
That's why we're here. Aga, yeah. So he'll mention Aga.
A-G-A, Aga.
Aga. He'll mention Aga and using the same technique try to discern if this guy actually knows what I'm asking about. That's a 17.
17. Everyone knows Aga. Mended my apron last year. Fine seamstress. Shame, though. Shame.
What's a shame?
Well, she's been bedridden months now, hasn't she?
I have not seen her since I arrived back in town. I was hoping you could tell me where she dwells.
Oh, same place she's been for years. Gives you, pretty cursory set of directions telling you how to get there.
Sounds good to me. Do they sound like directions I'm confident enough I could follow?
Yeah, I mean, it's like leave, head down 3 blocks and take a left, that kind of thing.
Alright, so having established that bribery is a really bad thing, is paying a barkeep who gave you a tip a really bad thing too?
Well, I imagine that you bought something to drink, otherwise this guy wouldn't have spot to you.
Yeah, he bought a wine.
I think overpaying for your wine is perfectly acceptable.
Alright, then he will overpay for his wine by 3 silver.
Lion's luck to you.
And to you, sir. Good day. He heads out and starts following the directions.
Sure.
He's actually kind of looking a little more tearful, like he might be able to leave this godforsaken city in another 5 minutes or so.
Maybe. Who can say? Give me a perception check, why don't you?
Okay. That is a 7.
7?
Yeah.
Well, you get a little lost. And you take a little bit of time. You're really kind of in your headspace at this point. You're kind of like, this is going to work out. This is going to be fine.
I'm already most of the way done with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And over the course of which, you kind of, wait, was it last block or was it this block? Not sure. And so you take a little bit more time than maybe you would hope. You run yourself in circles for a little bit, and actually the sun's actually starting to set before you think you've really kind of found where it is that you're trying to find. But before the sun does dip down below the horizon, you find yourself face to face with a simple wooden door in front of a simple clay hut.
Quiet knock.
There's no answer.
I'm a friend of Boro. Aga, are you there? He listens carefully for an answer.
Still no answer?
Takes a bit of a deep breath, and then seems to be trying to steel himself to say something that is much more meaningful. I think I might be your son. Listens carefully.
Still no answer.
Are there windows on this hut?
No.
Sun's going down. How many people are around?
Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. Investigation check to retroactively determine if I definitely found the right house.
Sure.
Alright. That is a 21.
Having spent as much time snooping around this neighborhood as you have, you've probably done a couple of false knocks on a couple of doors already. But also there's this feeling of presence. You feel like you're in the right place.
Antoria will speak again. Aga, I've come a very long way to speak with you. I mean you no harm.
Give me a dex save.
Uh-oh. Alright. That is a... have that sheet on top. That is a 12.
12?
Yeah.
Mid conversation or mid sentence, you're sort of you're kind of amping yourself up a little bit. You're leaning up against the door, trying to make sure that whoever it is on the other side of this thing hears you, and the door just pushes in.
Oh. Well, I'm not going to enter yet. What do I see?
It's dark. You can see that there's maybe a couple of candles lit, but it's a pretty simple kind of dwelling. Maybe a table, maybe a small shelf. In the far back of the room, you can see that there's a bed with a great many blankets heaped over it.
Alright. I'm gonna try and give my eyes time to adjust so I can see better without having to go in yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure how the locals will feel about a random dude walking into a beloved seamstress's house.
That's fair.
So he just kind of waits. He's clearly looking inside. He's not trying to hide the fact that he even is concerned about this. Do eyes adjusting bring any new information about the room?
Give me a perception check.
That is a 13.
You don't notice a great deal about the room. However, the door starts to close.
Like slowly?
No, actually, it's Like, you can imagine, like, a door that's on, like, a particular, like, slant or something like that might naturally try and close. Mm-hmm. But actually, it seems like the slant on this thing was the other way around, where just, like, accidentally pressing too much made it swing open.
Alright.
And now it's, like, it actually is, like it bumps into you a little bit, unless you're, like, standing back from the door.
Antoria will allow himself to be put inside by this action.
Okay. Thump. Door closes behind you.
Alright. Now that I'm inside, can I see anything else? I guess I look towards where the door was being closed from.
Sure. There's no one there.
It's probably a little late. Arcana check to determine if magic was used to close the door?
You can give me a try.
I got a 26.
I mean, it's not inconceivable, but there's nothing really immediately evident about the door. On the other hand, on the other side of the room, a pitcher lifts up into the air and pours out what seems to be some water into a small, simple cup. The cup then, sort of Sorcerer's Apprentice style, like, floats over to the bed.
Alright, Antoria will very cautiously approach Aga.
Underneath most of the blanket, sort of huddled up, is an old woman. You see her as she's sort of reaching with almost like a claw-like arm out for this floating little bit of water that she's apparently had delivered over to her. Who's there?
My name is Antoria. I think I might be your son.
Oh. Okay.
Insight check.
Sure.
Okay. And I dropped my d20. Convenient timing. Oh, it's all the way over there.
Oh my god.
I'm a terrible person. Sorry. 20.
I mean, she doesn't seem like disbelieving. She just seems old.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of afraid of.
Her hair is like, she's got a full head of hair. It's all gray. Her face is a bit baggy at this point, but you can tell that she was probably quite strong at some point. She's got some really wiry kind of arms on her. But most of her is still like bundled up. It looks like she spends most of her time in this bed, if anywhere else.
Alright. And Antoria, does the name mean anything to you, Aga?
Yeah. Come here.
Antoria approaches closer.
She reaches out a hand, grabs a hold of the cuff of your tunic. She's strong. She's like way stronger than any old woman has any right to be. I mean, women can be as strong as they want.
Yeah.
But she's old.
Yeah.
She's staring deep into your eyes, and she's sort of like flicking her eyes around your face, sort of studying each of your features. Yep. You have his eyes. With her other hand, sort of tries to like pat your cheek, but she's almost like, she's so like, first of all, she's like lying down on her side. She's doing it a little bit clumsily. So it's sort of more of just sort of like a wet pat. Sit. She gestures. And actually, you note that the stool actually like waddles into place behind you. Yes, you can make an Arcana check.
Okay. That's an 18.
18. That definitely seems like some prestidigitation.
Interesting.
So,
I hardly know what to say. I didn't even remember you until Boro hummed a little of that song you used to sing me.
oh, he was nice. I liked him. He would visit.
sorry that he felt he had to leave the city, but things have become dangerous.
Yup.
He said that you cast me out to protect me, that my father was somehow a danger.
Oh, your father. He wanted all kinds of things for you. He still wouldn't let it go. All the children, they all get taken.
All of it.
And sorted. It's the lion's will. You know that.
Yes.
But I didn't want you to have to go through what I knew that they would have for you. It's too... I worked for them, for the Yellow Cloaks, and they are vicious, and they... It gestures again, and the entire pitcher of water, like, bumps you a little bit in the head.
Oh.
Seems like it's not used to there being someone...
He moves out of the way.
They have no love in their hearts.
So, quick question. Yellow Cloaks, does Antoria know what that is?
That's slang for the Templars.
Oh, okay.
All of the Templars that are the peacekeepers, like the police force, all wear golden
Okay,
cloaks.
so she's saying she worked with the Templars.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. You worked with the Templars?
As a seamstress, everyone has to wear clothes.
That's true. But this...
Except for you.
Well, I wasn't exactly raised to have much taste in clothing, I'm afraid.
No. I'm
sorry.
I didn't want him to get his hands on you.
Him, my father.
And so I gave you up. And I'm sorry.
But I must admit I'm puzzled by one thing. You seem to use magic. He says it quietly, but...
Oh, yes. He showed me.
I suppose I should go ahead and get to it. Mother, who is my father?
He has the same eyes. He was here a month ago. He said he heard I was sick and he wanted to see me again. And he snuck here so his family wouldn't know, just like he used to. Would you bring me another blanket, please?
Of course. Antoria...
There's a large chest on the other side of the room.
Alright. Antoria will go over to the chest. He kind of hesitates because Long Habit is almost He's suspicious of chests. And frankly, he can't quite bring himself to just trustingly...
It was me, Antoria! It was me all
He
along!
actually will, out of just prudence if nothing else, give it a quick inspection.
Of course.
He rolls a 25 total.
25. It doesn't appear to be trapped.
Okay, and then he will gently open the chest.
It is loaded up with blankets, sheets, and other such sundries.
Alright. He will take a blanket and return to the bed with it and quietly begin placing it in the proper position.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, of course.
How are you?
Not too bad. I'm alive, that counts for a lot.
Where do you live?
I'm afraid I'm a bit of a wandering traveler. I've never really settled down.
Oh. What do you do?
As it happens, I study and share what I find with others who use that knowledge to do various things with it. A lore master, I suppose you could say.
You're... Okay. Good.
I don't think I need an insight check to tell she's not terribly impressed with this explanation.
She might just not understand it. Kids these days with their careers and their microtransactions.
And in catching that, he kind of elaborates a little bit. Well, there are many various beasts and dangers throughout Athos. Having someone who is knowledgeable about them can tell you of these dangers and help you prepare for them is actually something a fair number of people are interested in. I have a remarkable memory for such details, and over time I've learned a great deal. I am sought out for that knowledge and travel with parties and guide them. You've said that I have my father's eyes, but you have still not said who he is. Many people have eyes of this color, I'm sure. What color are Antoria's eyes?
Amber.
Amber. Are amber eyes that common?
I mean, they're not uncommon.
Okay.
They're not weird.
Yeah. As I said, I did travel here a long way. I would like to meet him as well.
Oh. You have to go to his house. House Dagan.
Dagan. What does Entoria know about House Dagan?
House Dagan is one of the preeminent houses of Uric. It's maybe one of like 7 or 8 of the, if you could call them like the top houses, certainly the houses that have like the wealthiest businesses and the largest estates. It carries the kind of weight that like a Rockefeller or something like that would carry.
Interesting.
It's not Dagon. I should clarify really quickly.
That was my first thought. I was like, wait a minute.
Dagon is not active. We've already got like a horrible tentacled monster beneath the ocean. We don't need another one that is also Antoria's dad.
All right. Well, I'm going to visit.
Or
House...
do we? No, we don't. But what if we did?
Who should I ask for at House Dagan?
Well, Lord Dagan, my dear Soren.
Soren.
He's got your eyes.
Let's see. Frankly, given my recent experiences, it seems unlikely I'll be taken very seriously if I simply walk up to a great house and ask to see its lord. Is there something I might show him?
Gestures back to the chest where he found the blanket.
Alright. Antoria will carefully, because he suspects some things in here might be old and fragile, carefully go through the chest looking for something that's not a blanket.
Well, after a couple of blankets and quilts and stuff, you find actually a pretty well-made, not necessarily like a regally fancy, but a pretty nicely made outfit.
Interesting. Alright, looks at the outfit, takes it out.
I made that for him many long ago. He said, keep it for our son.
That should certainly get his attention if I can get his guards to let him have a look at me. Is there anything I can do to help you? For all my knowledge, I can't think of anything, but if there is something you know of that you need but ask.
Oh, I'm fine. I've seen you, and I've seen my lovely Soren. Maybe I was simply waiting. Antoria.
Yes?
Good. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too, Mother. Glad I got to see you. Sleepy time?
Yep.
Okay.
She passes out pretty quick.
Alright. Antoria quietly gets up. Is the outfit like in a package or something, or is it just like the outfit?
It's kind of like bundled in like a piece of twine or something like that.
Alright. In that case, Antoria will go ahead and change into the outfit here.
It's, as she said, has not been worn. It's functional, but it's looking good. It's sort of white, as is the style of Uric nobles. It's got not necessarily like a pair of pants, but more like a sarong and like a tunic that goes over top of it, that kind of thing.
Okay. So you mentioned it was getting dark outside. Is
Yeah.
there any kind of curfew or thing I should be aware of?
Oh, well. There's not like a no one on the streets past dark kind of thing, but certainly the Templars are out and about and making sure that there's no crime. I mean, they don't like crime.
Okay.
Not even cool crimes.
As long as you're not acting in a criminal fashion, you probably won't get worse than questioned.
So long as it's clear that you've got some reason for being out, sure.
Okay. Where is house? I'm gonna keep saying Dagan.
If you say Dagon, that's fine.
Okay, house. Is it Dagan? Correctly, I mean?
Dagan.
Dagan.
D-A-G-A-N. Dagan.
Dagan. Okay, the A will help. Okay, where is House Dagan at?
Well, you're not intimately familiar with the High District, but it's probably somewhere in there.
Alright.
Also, all of the noble houses at least have some kind of a residence here in the city, even if they have like an estate out in the yard, not out in the yard, out in the frontier or something like that.
Okay. Well, see, it's only like closing in on sunset, so it's super late yet, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then Antoria will begin trying to make his way to House Dagan.
Okay.
Using an investigation check if it will help.
I think that's reasonable.
11.
11!
It's about as bad as they get for him.
You get good and lost on the way there, and it is well past dark before you come up to the gates leading into the High District, which have, of course, their own set of guards.
Alright. Antoria in his fancy new clothing will approach.
Dressed as you are, you don't get a second look from these guys.
Alright, marches right on by without a word.
Yep, you're unaccosted.
Cool. Then he will continue on looking for House Dagan.
Sure. Why don't you give me some kind of a check for hunting around of this nature.
Okay, investigation sounds happy. 19.
19. I'll tell you what that means after I see what's wrong with my dog.
he's having
My whiny boy. Be right back, friends.
Cool. Gives me a handshake with this light.
Keep everyone entertained, Kirby.
What? I'm not good at that. You remember what happened at Quest Night? Hi guys.
Squeaky wanted a song.
Well, that's too bad. I'm not good at singing. Yeah, I got nothing, guys. Sorry. I'm not very good at impromptu entertainment. I would recommend looking up some otter or ferret videos. They're often cute, and you will probably like them. Oh, was okay. He was upset. Even left a squeaky toy. Which is named because it makes a squeaky sound, not because it is shaped like squeaky. Can't believe my work computer busted the first day of work. It's crazy. Who does that happen to? Well, actually, it happened to Bill, who plays Uric, on his first day of work at the same place a few weeks ago. So I guess it actually happens with impressive regularity, but yeah. I think they're coming back.
It's Polo!
Yay!
get your...
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh,
I got
good.
it right away.
Great. Polo, where'd you go? Oh, I see him.
Hello.
Good Polo.
19, by torchlight. Walking past some dang fancy houses, it should be said. Passing by not a small amount of traffic. I mean, for a city where Hamanu's code rules, seems like there's plenty of evening time activity going on. People going to parties, people going to sexy parties, people going to...
That doesn't sound like a Hamanu thing.
Listen. You're right. Maybe some people are going to murder parties. You don't know. Maybe they're just disguised as sexy party
I'm
goers.
pretty sure Kate said fun is illegal.
Cade has a very strict interpretation of Hamanu's code.
Is there any other interpretation that's valid?
I mean,
Hamanu's
you are literally a criminal.
Oh,
Yeah. But I mean, you're handling yourself pretty well so far.
yeah.
You, having spent a little bit of time today already trying to find your way around in a big strange city, have a little bit of an idea about how to conduct yourself, and before too long believe that you've found yourself square in front of the mighty doors of the estate of House Dagan.
Alright. Antoria will march up to the guards at the door, assuming there are visible guards.
They are actually not guards outside, but the doors, the mighty set of double oaken doors, are closed. There is, however, one of those slats that will, like, that they can, like, open up in the back to go, like, who's there, that kind of thing.
Alright. Antoria will march up to the door and very gently knock on the door kind of near where the slat is.
Who's there? See?
Mm-hmm. Tell Lord Soren that the son of Aga is here.
That's a poor joke. It's in bad taste. Get out of here.
Where knocks a bit more forcefully.
You again.
Have him take one look at me. The very clothes I wear.
You know perfectly well he can't see much of anything these days. Again, very bad taste. I'll put your eye out, you tell that joke again. Come up with some better material.
Antoria kind of looks frustrated and kind of mutters to him. Not mutters to himself, but thinks to himself, really? He's blind? the one thing I got that might help with this, and it's not going to work. He knocks, and he's standing outside of eye poke range from the slit. Aga is dying. She sent me to see him.
I don't know who Aga is, but if she's dying, she's on her way to see him as is. Slams the slat shut. Throws open the door. A very tall half-elf dressed in finery. Not super nice finery. Probably very nice slave finery. Maybe the major domo or something like that. The guy that like organizes and manages the household. Stomps out and jabs you in the chest with a long bony finger. Listen, I got women wailing in there. I got people marching up talking to me about rights of succession. I got Templars yapping at me day after day about funerary rites. I don't know who you are or what it is that you want, but the last thing I need is more problems.
I'm not a problem. I'm here on behalf of a great friend of your lord. I'm sorry he doesn't make you privy to all of his comings and goings.
Can't really tell me a whole lot more after this last going, can he?
Insight check to determine if he's basically saying he's dead.
Yes.
Alright. 23.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what he's getting at, yeah.
And Entoria kind of tilts his head a little bit. Are you saying Lord Soren has passed away?
You are a great big dummy, aren't you? I've been saying that for the past 15 minutes. You haven't heard me yet. Can't believe you haven't heard it already. It's the talk of the entire town. What did you just get in today?
Actually, yes, I did just...
No excuses.
You just said that was
The news of Uric travels across the world. Such is the lion's will. So it is told to me by every single yellow cloak that marches up to the estate.
Does sound about like what they would say.
Yes, Lord Soren, bless his heart, has not merely been murdered, but mangled out in the street. like some sort of an animal.
Wait, murdered?
Let me tell you what. If he died of natural causes, he wouldn't have gone out of his way to chop off his own head and hand on the way there, would he have?
And does that particular mutilation mean anything to a Uric, or is it just something interesting?
Give me a history check.
Okay. That is a 16.
16? No, it doesn't hold any particular significance. Not that you can think of, anyway.
A great lord of one of the houses murdered.
Now you're getting it. Now you see why I'm so ornery.
I do, but...
I'm a nice fella. People like inviting me to their parties. I'm the toast of the town most days. But my friend, Lord Soren, is dead. And what am I doing to deal with it? I'm out here yapping away with you, some vagabond in fine clothes. You smell like shit.
Everyone does. Listen, I tell you this earnestly. I'm not here to make trouble for you or to interject myself into the line of succession. Lord Soren did have a son with the seamstress Aga. I am that son. Again, I have no interest in succession,
You
but
half-wit. You're gonna walk up here and knock on the house of this fine fellow's widow and announce yourself as his bastard son?
I wasn't planning on announcing myself.
You literally just said it out loud here in the streets.
To you. I'm not yelling it. Look. I am interested, however, in the details of his murder.
I bet you would be. Who's to say you're not the one that chopped your head off?
I just got here
He
today.
dies, and then you suddenly show up. That's very convenient, isn't it? I'll tell you what, you stay right here and I'll find some yellow cloaks that can see you off and make sure that you see exactly the lord that you're looking for. Thank you.
Ridiculous. Antoria will leave, of course, and get out of the general area.
Okay.
So this is probably the talk of the town if it actually did transpire in this way.
Sure.
Antoria will go to a nearby tavern if there is such a thing, or an inn or fancy place like that. It's probably fancier in this part of town, but he's best for it.
Yeah, there's some pretty fancy places around town here.
Alright, he will head into probably one of the nearest ones. The nearer to House Dagan, the better.
Sure, absolutely. You managed to find one maybe 10 or 15 minutes away.
Alright, he will go inside.
Fair number of noble kids of varying ages partying the night away in, you know, pretty reserved Urikari style. Very, very serious drinking faces. Very, very, you know, very...
Having exactly the prescribed amount of wine.
Exactly. Very posh. Very, very, you know, but, you know, middle fingers extended. The Kid Rocks of of Athos.
Yes. All right. Well,
middle fingers extended. My God.
Does this sort of place even have a bar top, or is it done some other way?
No, absolutely. You know, there's plenty of like high-end bars, that kind of thing.
All right.
There is a beautiful waitress waiting there to take your order.
All right. Antoria will order a wine of moderate price, moderate for this place. Assuming that's not a lot. How much is that?
Well, you're ordering simply wine.
I guess it'd be a specific wine history check. Is that what would be the wine lord, the wine host?
I mean, it feels like it's a little bit more in character for you to simply walk up to the bar and do what it is that you do at every other bar and simply say a wine.
Yeah.
To which she wrinkles her nose and goes, "Yes."
And now he kind of gets it. It's like, oh, right, a specific one. I guess since investigation is our appraisal skill, investigation to remember the name of a relatively honest.
I think that's a perfectly fair use of your skills.
Got a 14.
14. You remember that regardless of the war between Tyre and Uric, Asticles wine is regarded as a favorable blend.
And how much is it probably going to cost me?
Oh, well, it's from a hostile nation, so it's like somewhere around 10 gold a flagon.
Alright, he orders a flagon of that wine. she ask for money at some point?
Oh, I mean, I think it's expected that you will pay after she serves you the wine that you have asked for at the bar.
Cool. Well, Antoria will hand over 12 gold just to be safe. Seems to have worked. Antoria will quietly sip the wine while just trying to listen to the conversation. He's kind of assuming that a murder of a major lord would kind of be a big deal.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. There are a number of tabletops chatting all about it. And general consensus is that it's not merely the fact that he was mangled, but the fact that he was in the old district at the time.
The old district's over here.
Yes, indeed.
Interesting.
And that this sort of thing has happened before, but never to a noble. Certainly never to a noble of such stature. But it's been heard that every now and then, for the past few years, the common folk are preyed upon by a ghost. A ghost that comes in the night and finds folks that are on their own and doesn't merely kill them, but takes trophies. Maybe a bit of your flesh, maybe a whole bone, maybe your lips.
With the additional clue, could I make another check to try and remember it now that I know there's a ghost connected, or
Sure.
Okay. Cool. I lived here. 28.
28! You have absolutely heard of this ghost. It's a common boogeyman of Uric.
The real one.
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
Known simply as the Skin Taker.
Sounds like an appropriate name. So Entoria, I'm kind of gonna have to go inside Entoria's head a little bit because he's kind of thinking to himself.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I mean, he's visited his mom. He got the story. Dad seems to be dead. I mean, he's interested, but he literally never met the guy and doesn't really remember him too well. And it doesn't sound like Aga was particularly 100% on him either. I mean, she did make him the clothes, but also, hey, I'm casting my son out into the street so you can't have the future you want for your son. It's kind of trying to figure out in his own head if he actually wants to stay and investigate this, or if it's just like, well, I found out who they were.
Well, it is curiously coincidental that he should be murdered so soon after maybe even right before you arrive in town. It's almost like the Dungeon Master planned it then.
The timing is interesting.
That's fair.
The timing's definitely interesting.
Which isn't to say that you have to investigate this mystery. There's plenty of other stuff that you could do. You could leave town and that would be perfectly fine.
And then you flip the table because I just...
No, I would absolutely not. You have literally accomplished the goal that you set out to do heading to Uric. Let's wrap a little bit. Let's see what Antoria could do to justify this to himself. Antoria is interested in the arcane and strange goings on.
And this guy apparently is some kind of arcanist, and so is under his tutelage, Aga.
Yes, that is true.
And yet she worked with Templars, which is also an interesting angle to it.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult to kind of get.
Seamstress, though.
I mean it's difficult to kind of get the timeline as to like.
That's true. She may not have known magic when she was working for them.
Exactly.
Okay.
She was quite old. It's difficult. It's kind of a success that you just managed to have a conversation with her of some kind.
So nobles aren't...
Which, mind, you could also go back and talk with her more or something like that.
Yeah, so nobles aren't in fact not necessarily, they're not exempt from the whole no arcane magic thing.
Oh no, not at all.
He's definitely a bad guy if they knew he was up to that sort of
thing. The
thing.
only people in the city that are allowed to practice arcane magic are like the king's defilers, who are like a special, like, you literally, this person, you are only allowed to defile because I need one of you in my army. Because Nibene's got one in his army, so I need to be able to make sure that I've got some of those.
Is there any indication that, would a noble lord also be one of these, or is it like...
Well, that's the other thing, is that nobles and Templars are usually not the same thing, ever. A noble may sponsor an army and bring in his own troops or something like that. But a case like Cade or Valaria, where there's someone from a noble house that became a Templar, is kind of a rare exception. Now mind, Uric is kind of a meritocracy in some ways, and that sometimes Hamanu will actually like recognize a freeman who has accomplished some great task and elevate them to the nobility or something like that. So that sort of thing is not unheard of. But most nobles are not Templars, and most Templars are not nobles.
Alright.
If anything, the fact that most Templars are drawn from the freemen's ranks, if merely just because of quantity, means that nobles usually are like, well, I'm not going to become a Templar. That's something a freeman does.
Right.
I'm way better than that.
Yeah, it's beneath
I'm going to go to the bar and drink some wine.
in very precisely calculated.
In very precise calculated measurements.
They're drinking out of the little cooking measuring cups. Wait, no, reading's illegal. They can't drink out of those.
No, nobles are allowed to read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Antoria, having bought the flagon, is drinking it kind of slowly. He'll try to focus on finding out any idea what this fellow was doing in the old district in the first place, since that seems to be kind of unusual for someone of his stature.
Well, I mean, that's primarily what the conversation of the teenagers around you seems to be surrounding. No one really knows, so there's a lot of speculation. I mean, maybe he was part of some sort of conspiracy, or maybe he was rooting out some sort of uprising or something like that, like happened a few years ago when all of those criminals were killed. Maybe he had some secret lover or something like that. Maybe he was simply conducting black market trade of some kind or something like that. There's all kinds of stuff that it could be, but no one's really sure.
Okay. In that case, Antoria will go outside and look for a place where he could get a room for the night.
Sure.
Unfortunately, his choice of clothing probably limits him to fairly fancy ones. He'd be out of place now. I'm going to...
Well, more to the point, there's not any inns in the High Quarter, so you're going to have to search elsewhere if that's what you're looking for.
Okay, he will go, I guess, to the Trade Quarter.
Okay.
That seems a better one. They probably have accommodations for traveling merchants that might not be entirely inappropriate for a noble who's traveling.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. There's plenty of that kind of accommodation, and you're able to find a place that is willing to put you up for the night.
And how much will that run me?
12 gold.
Okay. Alright. As far as sleepy time goes, he will actually summon Tanger for this, so that Tanger can keep watch while he's asleep. As soon as he wakes up, he will thank Tanger and send him back to the pocket dimension.
Yeah, that's fair.
Alright.
Cool.
Right.
You wake up the next morning, alive, with all of your skin.
Yay! In that case, I will have Antoria head to the old quarter.
Okay.
Trying to start asking some questions.
Absolutely.
Alright. Guess you'll look for a tavern there and go through our usual information gathering.
Give me an investigation check, why don't you?
Sure can do that.
Oh my goodness.
Throw more pencils. That is a 12.
12! Man, it's been a while since you've been here, and there's, some buildings have been knocked down, some have been repaired. You're trying to find your way around, and it takes a little bit of doing, but you managed to find a pretty commonly trafficked bar that it seems like is probably in the area where this took place. It's called the Champion's Trough.
Excellent. In we go.
Sure. Seems pretty well situated. It's maybe midday when you arrive, but it's still pretty busy. There's maybe like a dozen and a half folks in attendance.
Alright. Well, Antoria will approach the bar. Order a wine by ordering wine. Probably works in this place.
Wine. It's fancy. Got a bit though.
Excellent. Thank you. And he will use the technique before. He will start asking about what the barkeep might have heard or know about why Lord Soren would have been in this place in the first place, what happened to him, using insight to try and determine if this guy knows something or if he's just fishing for coins and nodding along.
Sure.
That is a 21.
21? Well, this barkeep is willing to talk, and he seems like he knows what he's talking about because, as he says, he's been talking about this for days now. All kinds of tourists coming in, trying to, well, not too many days, like 2 or 3 days. Coming in, trying to investigate, had to answer the yellow cloaks, had to answer that loudmouth major domo from the house. Everyone wants to know, All I know is, guy was found dead, guy was found without his noggin, without his hand. Grotesque. But, whether it was a ghost or not, couldn't tell you. That said, I will say it is a bit democratic that perhaps one of the nobles finally has a bit of the justice that has been rendered on the common people for so long. If there is some sort of a ghost, it's not right that it should restrain itself to one social class.
Is this barkeep the constitutional peasant? Is this an out of place Urikari viewpoint? I'm trying to figure out, is this guy unusually political, I guess, for a Urikari barkeep?
I mean, most people don't talk politics in Uric, no.
Notable, but we'll go ahead and slide him an extra 3 silver on top of the cost of the wine.
Oh, no. Please. Happy to accommodate. Simply, if you want another one, you could let me know.
I do have one other question, though.
Certainly.
Had Lord Soren been seen in these quarters at some other point in the past? It seems, frankly, he's a bit out of place here, don't you think?
Yes, indeed. I'd seen him maybe a bit, but that boy down there, gestures to the end of the bar, there's sort of a lone youth, sort of scraggly looking, long black hair, sort of sulking. Most everyone else is like deep in conversation, chatting with one another. A lot of workmen, a lot of freemen, that kind of thing, some craftsmen. This guy is a little bit out of place in that he's quite young and he's completely by himself. He's just sort of like sulking. He doesn't even seem to be like drinking all that heavily or anything like that. He's just sort of like hanging out. You can easily imagine him like with a big pair of earphones and just a Discman, just like tuning out the rest of the world, just sort of scowling at everything and nothing.
What's his name?
Dita. He's the one who found him. Supposedly, he even saw the deed.
Interesting.
Yes, indeed. Oh, rhymed. Didn't mean that.
I'd like to ask him questions about it, but he doesn't seem the talkative sort, does he?
He's a bit sensitive, he is. Might have been a bit rattled. He likes to put on a tough face. Tries to ingratiate himself, with the crowd here. A lot of tough folks. Champion's trough, favorite of the gladiators. But, he's just a kid, really. And seeing a man get his head hacked off by some would-be ghosts, well, that'd take the spirit right out of anyone. Oh, spirit. Another joke.
I'm not sure I believe those are accidental.
Oh, me neither. Something subconscious about it.
Very well. Thank you.
Let me know if you need anything else. Name's Bucket.
Bucket. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Antoria will quietly walk over to the boy with the non-existent headphones on. Alright. He kind of quietly taps on the bar and says, Dita, may I join you for a moment?
Sure. Whatever.
Bucket there says you saw something rather terrible. I can't do much about that, but I can at least give you an opportunity to make a bit of a profit off of the experience. Is he turning towards me or just turning it? Okay, he slides over one silver coin. Antoria slides over one silver coin right away. That's just for agreeing to speak to me. Don't even have to answer anything for that one. I know it's going to be hard to recount what you've seen. I do intend to compensate you well, I promise. And it is important. I want to know what happened to that fellow, Lord Soren.
Who are you, man?
My name is Zaji, a traveler, but I had connections to Lord Soren. And I will attempt, I guess, deception since I'm clearly not being entirely truthful about that one. Natural 20, though.
Yeah, okay. Connections. Got it. Well, what do you want to know?
We'll start with easier questions. Had you seen Lord Soren in these parts before?
Yeah, he was weird. He was always, creeping around at night. So no one would see him. But he wasn't very good at it.
is sort of usually not inclined to have to hide themselves from anyone. He probably had no practice at it.
Yeah, he was like, just sort of there, you know? Like, he wasn't even like looking around.
Clearly not used to these parts. Antoria slides over 2 silver for the answer so far.
Scoops it up as soon as it hits the bar.
Doing well enough so far. Tell me, do you know what he was doing here? I mean, you saw him not exactly creeping around. Where did he go? You must have been curious when you saw someone that out of place here.
There's like... Okay, there's like these guys. Like, you talk to that bartender. Like, they're like... Like, Uric is great. And they say they want to like protect like its like core values or something, man. Like, it's like rotting from the inside, and like people, like common people, have to like protect it. And so they have like these secret meetings and like talk about like what they're gonna do to like protect everyone and like help Hamanu like make the city like a great place to be. And like this guy, like, I think he was looking for those meetings because like I was just there like looking around, and I saw him, and like once like I was like, okay, well, he's just, I don't know, he's doing something. But then he was there again, and then he was there again, and like I think he was like maybe spying on him or something. Like, he wanted to know what they were up to.
See. Can you tell me where this place was?
Well, you know the well.
You
do.
Okay,
yes.
yes. Okay.
It's notable enough that it's on the map.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Well, it's like around the corner from that, and like, well, it's like northeast of the well. I remember because like he was coming back because I guess they were done, and like it was near the well where he
met his fate. Antoria slides over 5 silver.
Seems like a little bit lost and doesn't notice it.
Kind of very gently taps near it. Steady on.
He took his head off.
Antoria keeps a hand over the silver, not to take it away, but to just kind of cover it. Bucket, an empty mug, please. So he hands it to the boy so he can slides a bucket of silver if he doesn't object. Quick reactions there, thank you. Go on.
Anyway.
You've earned it. So like he wants to make sure the lad takes the 5 silver.
Puts his hand over it and slides it over. Doesn't pick it up.
I'm not going to ask you for any more detail than is necessary, but for me to finish investigating, I'm going to need to ask a few things about what actually happened. I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. What did the deed, in your opinion? What did you see?
It was big. It was like...
half giant-sized?
Just collapses on the bar.
Oh, jeez. Antoria will actually try to comfort him using...
Comfort skill.
Well, he's gonna think about it. Medicine is part of bedside manner.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not gonna allow that.
Okay, well, it's actually only a +0 anyway. It wouldn't help much. It's not that good at bedside.
Oh, then that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Let's see. He will, I guess, use persuasion. He's trying it gently. He's not trying for a major turnaround of this. He's just trying to kind of help him get through it. Mm-hmm. And the idea is here that he's trying in such a way that if he screws it up, it won't be too bad. If he succeeds, it's probably not going to help much because he's kind of soft pedaling it because he realizes after a long experience he's not actually.
You know, if you want to comfort someone, you should do it for their benefit, not for yours.
He's trying to do it for his benefit.
Sure.
He just didn't want to make it worse by failing miserably like he usually does in charisma-based things, as he has learned. So he will. No, he's trying to comfort him very gently.
Chat suggests you put a knife through his neck so that he doesn't have to suffer anymore.
Well,
as Antoria would do. What did you get?
A 13.
A 13.
Yeah.
You sort of clumsily, like, pat him on the back a little bit, but he doesn't seem to take too much notice. He seems very wrapped up in his memories.
Antoria will kind of quietly wait with him. He's not asking more questions or anything other than just kind of almost keeping watch over him at this point. We'll give it about 15 or 20 minutes or so. Any notable change?
Nope.
Alright. You will call Bucket over. Bucket, you got a moment?
Well, seems I don't really have much of a choice, is it?
He's not doing so well.
Come on, Dita.
Would you mind keeping an eye on him for a bit?
I've got a room in the back where we can let loose a bit. Come on, boy.
How much do I owe you for the room?
Don't worry about it. Not the first time it's happened.
Let's see.
Escort some out, not out back.
And then sticks a knife in his throat. Oh, wow. Antoria won't do it, so the Urikari way.
Oh man, praise Hamanu.
So,
Bucket comes back a little bit later, grabs a rag and starts cleaning up.
Alright. So,
messy business.
It is. So looking around the bar, are there any other rooms that are like adjacent to that back room?
No, it's like, so there's one big room and there's an empty doorway that goes presumably back into like the kitchen with maybe like a side room or something like that. But the only other door leads out.
Okay. And where is this building situated relative to alleyways and other nearby buildings?
I mean,
I can tell you what I'm planning if that'll help.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Antoria wants to get out of sight, use Detect Thoughts, and then through the wall, since Detect Thoughts has a limited ability to do that.
Yeah, that's
try
fair.
to read his thoughts. But he doesn't want to do it if he's going to be casting out where people are likely to catch him at it.
I mean, if it's a place that's big enough that there's a back room, there's almost certainly a back way.
Okay. Well, Antoria will thank Bucket again and head outside. And then, using his knowledge of where the back rooms seem to be based on the inside, he will try to go near that area.
Okay.
Are there people around?
No, you're in the back alley. There's not a whole lot there. Oh wait, no, excuse me, I'm wrong. There is someone. There is someone sleeping in the back alley.
Oh, who is sleeping in the back alley? Just
There is just sort of a short little mess of like rags and beard.
He seems like he's making a fair bit of noise, and that's good. Could I get it? Is there another like side of this alley I could get at this room from that doesn't have this guy on it, or is this guy it?
Yeah, you can go around the corner.
All right, I'll go around the corner. What do I? Anyone on this side?
Nope.
All
But I mean, there's a clear there's a clear alley to the main road. So someone passing by might notice you.
Okay. Well, as far as I can get from that without going into line of sight of the sleeping guy,
Okay.
Antoria will crouch down on the ground as if he's dropped something. His back is to the opening, and he's kind of huddled so that his hands are basically completely hidden. I mean, he's basically doing that.
So long as we don't have another burrowing Templar, you should be clear.
Hopefully.
I'll give you an advantage on your sleight of hand.
Okay. You will advantage sleight of hand, detect thoughts.
Says for a no, Antoria hasn't died. But way better, his dad has.
Ooh, I got a 24.
Okay.
Detect thoughts active?
It is.
I will send it looking for D10.
Let's review on what Detect Thoughts does.
Indeed.
I don't have the book. You're going to have to read it to
Okay,
me.
it's unfortunately a long one, but I will read it as effectively as possible. Oh boy.
Where is my player's handbook?
Okay. Self, 30-foot radius.
Okay.
Duration is... Oh wait, that's destructive wave. Okay.
Sesper asks, why did you kill Daddy Toria?
Concentration up to 1 minute.
Okay.
For the duration, you can read the thoughts of certain creatures. When you cast a spell and as an action on each turn until the spell ends, you can focus your mind on any one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. If the creature you choose has an intelligence of 3 or lower or doesn't speak languages, it's unaffected. You initially learn the surface thoughts of the creature, what's on its mind most at the moment. As an action, you can shift your attention to another creature, or you can probe deeper. It must make a wisdom save. If it fails, you gain insight into its reasoning, its emotional state, something that looms large.
Okay, I remember this one.
Right. The other part that's important, though, is that you could also use the spell to detect the presence of thinking creatures you can't see.
Oh.
When you cast the spell, or has an action during the duration, you can search for thoughts within 30 feet of you.
Okay.
The spell can penetrate barriers, but 2 feet of rock, 2 inches of any metal other than lead, or a thin sheet of lead will block you.
Okay. I don't think we have to worry about the lead here.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about the lead or even the metal, really, for 2 inches. And I assume the building's not made of rock.
No.
Okay. Then, in that case, using the 30 feet ability, I will try to identify Dita by his thoughts.
Sure. You are very capably able to find young adolescent mind that seems basically just racked with sorrow and terror at the vision of sort of a shadowy kind of figure slaying what looks to be a tall, middle-aged nobleman.
Okay. Arcana check on this shadowy figure to try and identify it?
Sure.
That is a 17.
It's difficult to pin it down. There's not a whole lot in the way of detail. You can tell that it's humanoid. You can tell that it's definitely large. Maybe half giant is too much, but it's definitely pressing the limits of that. Actually, though, its proportions are a little off. It's difficult to tell if it's like a naturally occurring race or something like that. Then again, Athos has all kinds of like weirdly shaped humanoid races out in the desert, even some that probably haven't been discovered yet, so it's not clear what it is.
Doesn't seem very ghostly, does it? Or does it?
Well, the thing is, you can only really see it in silhouette, so it's not to say that it couldn't be like maybe a shadow monster of some kind. Certainly you've seen some of those in your journeys, but it's not like the typical like ghost hanging sheet shape.
Yeah, or the usual spectral glowing blue type thing.
It doesn't have the kind of glowing blue kind of look to undead.
Okay.
But you don't have enough information to necessarily rule out is an undead or not, that kind of thing.
Right. Anything else from the constantly on repeat, I assume, vision going on in his mind that might be of interest?
It seems terribly strong. It seems to be simply using whatever its natural weapons are to cleave off the screaming nobleman's hand and then his head.
Okay. Okay. Does Soren try to do anything to defend himself during this?
It's doing a lot of this. You're really seeing like just a very small clip sort of repeated over and over and over and over and over again.
Let's see. Okay, but the location matches up with what I got verbally from him before. It's near
You can
the
see right behind him the great structure of the well that serves this area.
Alright, and one last question. On the premise that people often see things they don't remember they saw, can I make a perception check to see if there's anything hidden, like another person, another figure,
Sure.
something like
I
that?
think that's a good idea.
Okay. I've got a 22.
22. No, I don't think there's anything else of particular note that you would notice otherwise.
Alright. Well, as much as he would like to dive deeper, if he actually managed to make the saving throw, that would probably be a very bad thing for everyone involved, so... Well, he's got the spell up, though. Antoria will jump into Bucket's mind and see what he's thinking of.
Bucket is thinking, what a shame it is that such a horrible thing has happened near his neighborhood. But it's kind of nice to have so much traffic coming through and being generous.
Okay. Well, he doesn't seem to have anyone else relevant to scan, so he'll let the spell end at that
Sure.
point. And then for precaution's sake, he will kind of move away from the general area by about a block or so.
Sure.
Well, I'm thinking out loud for Antoria here. You could try another bar and see if you can get more information, although this one was pretty close to the right location.
Mm-hmm.
Could try waiting and seeing what happens in that location.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think actually he will try and do that. He will pass time in that location, but unlike Mr. Obvious, he will actually...
Mr. Obvious?
That's what he's calling Lord Sauron based on the description of his not even attempted to,
sure.
to slip around cautiously.
That's fair.
He will change back into his normal Antoria garb, carefully putting the other away and packing it deep so if anyone flings nasty crap at him, it doesn't get on the fancy outfit again.
Fair.
And then he will try to find a good place in that general area to hide himself.
Okay, give me a stealth check.
Sure. Stealth check says 16.
16. Cool.
Right. And he will quietly observe and wait for nightfall.
Sure. And what are you watching in particular?
I got the description of the location that that Sauron was coming and seeming to just stand outside of by the description of it.
That is so.
He will watch that general area. Of course, he's also trying to keep alert for magical beasties. In fact, he will, at some point during this waiting, I assume there will be a moment when there's no one around, right?
I guess so, yeah. Like, if you're watching... Like, are you watching, like, the crossroads where the well is, or are you trying to, like, pinpoint where you think this meeting location was?
Well, this will be early on in the visual. He's basically trying to find a safe moment to summon Tanger, which isn't spell casting, but having a bird materialize.
Oh, that's no problem.
Okay, then Tanger at some point will materialize and also be keeping watch over the general area in this case.
Okay.
While Antoria focuses on where he thinks the building might be or the door might be that this fellow was looking for, based on what he learned from the vision and from the actual conversations.
Okay. Time passes. You don't notice anything in particular. You do get a message from Tanger that a particularly obnoxiously dangerous-looking fellow, the sort of fellow that looks like maybe an ex-gladiator or something like that. The kind of guy that just wears like a shoulder pad with spikes sticking out of it, just as like normal everyday outfit, has entered the Champion's Trough.
Okay. I can actually share senses with him, and that doesn't have any visible thing, I assume. So I'll share senses with him when he sends that message, so I can get a glimpse of him too. Is anyone I would know, or just?
No, not particularly. Simply, out of all the individuals that have passed through this area, this guy definitely looks like the most troubling.
Okay, does he look like? I guess he looks like he probably could match that size if he needed to, right?
Maybe.
He's not shadowy looking or anything.
It's difficult to tell from up here, but he's definitely got like a mole's build. Whether or not he's as big as is necessary, but it's hard to say. Certainly wearing like a little bit more armor and maybe it'd match that silhouette.
Okay. Interesting. And how far away is the Champion's Trough from my hiding spot?
Maybe about 3 blocks. So it's maybe like 1 block diagonally to the well and then like 2 more over to the trough.
So definitely more than 30 feet. It's not going to be
absolutely
thought from here.
Yeah.
Alright.
How long does...
Oh, the Ticklots is gone.
Yeah.
It's only a minute. He dropped it.
That's right, yeah. I was just making sure it wasn't the same one.
No. Okay. Thanks, Tanger, for the report, and continues to keep a watch out.
Okay.
And he does mention that Tanger is interested to know when that fellow leaves and where he goes.
Sure. Well, believe it or not, another few hours pass, and he hasn't left. It's maybe like 3, 4 in the afternoon now. There's not too much activity over where you are either.
Okay, and there's no windows on this building, I assume? Not even skylights or anything?
No, there are, but they're higher up on like the 2nd floor.
Okay, so there wouldn't be visibility to the bottom from them?
No.
Okay. Is the door like curtained or beaded, or is it just open?
No, I mean these are all like wooden door,
fantasy
type doors.
All right. How often does someone come in and out of this tavern?
The tavern or the building that you're watching?
The tavern, actually, for this one.
The tavern's pretty well trafficked. Like it's a pretty popular joint.
All right. He will ask Tanger to reposition so that next time the door opens, he can see if he can catch a glimpse of the gladiator.
Sure.
So you will do that and wait long enough for that to happen.
Okay. I mean, maybe 5 or 6 minutes passes by before you can take a look inside.
Okay. Does he see the gladiator?
Yeah.
Okay, just kind of at the bar or at a table?
He's at a table. He's got a few cronies with him, it looks like. He's been there for some time, and it's difficult to say whether he's going to leave.
Interesting. Alright, he'll ask Tanger to return to his original position then. But to keep an eye... General area still, but when he wants to know when that group leaves in particular.
Okay.
I guess hit the advanced time.
The sun sets, and no change takes place.
Alright.
Actually, once the sun sets, the old hobo out back wakes up, trudges out to the front, sits down in front of the bar instead.
Okay. Interesting.
Is it though?
Maybe. So I probably should have thought of this sooner. I mean, Antoria wasn't a member of the Veiled Alliance, but he surely knew something of their general operations, at least a little, just from osmosis.
I think that's fair.
Is this the area they tended to operate in?
No, I mean, there's certainly some bolt holes and stuff like that they would have used as hiding places, but they actually spent most of their time like in the Foreign District, simply because that's where the Templars come least.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, looking more than a little nervous, so he's kind of feeling a little nervous, just the tension of having waited this long already and not knowing exactly what's coming, but he will continue waiting.
Okay.
You can see. And he's continuing to watch the building with Tanger general area focused on the bar.
Sure. After maybe another hour and a half or something like that, Dieter comes flying out the door. The
Like
gladiator.
thrown.
Yes. And the gladiator stomps out after him.
Okay, I definitely don't have a line of sight on that from here, like personally.
Not personally, no. Like I said, you're about 3 blocks away.
Alright, and Entoria will leave his hiding spot reluctantly and start heading over to there. So he's going to head to the quickest way he can get line of sight on it, basically.
Okay.
And how far away does that put him?
50 feet.
50 feet. Okay. Well, Tanger, he'll direct Tanger just actually stay where he was, and now Tanger's watching the door because
Sure.
is out in the open anyway.
Dieter remains sort of like cowering on the ground. The gladiator, who's joined by some of the flunkies that he was drinking with, seems mostly interested in like intimidating him and occasionally like kicking him in the face. Clearly not like trying to break him, but trying to humiliate him.
Can I hear what's being said?
He seems mostly like irritated with Dieter for having talked, for having run his mouth off or something like that.
I see. As much as Entoria would like to interfere without his magic, he realizes he probably can't make that better, and he's also realizing that if these guys are upset with him talking, their logical next destination would be the people he talked to. Alright. Okay. I want to slip back to the area that I was hiding at before.
Okay.
I'm not sure how to word I want to watch the area, but not from as close as before. It's like I'm giving up sight of the target area because I'm leaving that to Tanger now. Instead, I want to be in a position to watch for people who would start searching that area for someone they think might be hidden there.
Okay, that's fair.
It's probably only slightly different from watching the building, but it's a difference. He's not as close to the building as he was before by any means.
Sure.
In this position. So I guess another stealth check to hide.
Yeah.
Okay. 14.
14.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you slip into the shadows just as a Templar patrol steps past.
Kind of thinks at Tanger, what are you doing? This wasn't worth recording.
Tanger seems preoccupied with the task at hand.
Right.
He has been focused on a particular area. Like, these guys are coming in.
Okay, well. Antoria will stay where he thinks he's hidden.
Sure. Well, before too long, the Templars wind up in front of the trough, at which point the gladiator backs off and continues back into the bar to resume whatever it is that he and his friends were doing.
I mean, jerk bros.
Templars yell at Dieter a little bit before he stands up and dusts
It's a
himself
terrible
off.
place.
It's not great.
No, it clearly isn't. Poor kid.
Runs off. The Templars resume their patrol.
Right. I guess resume waiting a bit and see what else we can find happening.
Sure.
What's going on?
The hobo seems to have woken up and started his own patrol path.
Oh, I see. He's wandering around now.
Offers you his bowl.
Oh. Troya places 3 copper inside. Lion's luck to you.
Turns to look in the direction you're looking.
You spend a lot of time in this area. Did you see what happened yesterday? Willing to tell me about it? There's more where that came from. Perhaps this will give you some vocabulary. He puts a silver in the cup. What can you tell me about what happened yesterday? Oh, for crying out loud. Antoria very gently shakes him awake. Or tries to. Look, you were going to tell me something for that silver. It might not even be the only one in it for you, but you'll need to tell me something. Grunting and snoring is not going to cut it. He just wanders off. Interesting. Alright. Antoria starts to follow him if he doesn't seem to,
He seems like he's headed back towards the tavern.
Oh, well then he's not going to follow. But what was can you repeat the gesture that he made?
It was sort of like a come on gesture.
Oh, okay. If he did gesture towards the tavern, then Antoria will follow him. With Tanger now moving to just keep overwatch, basically.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't stop at the tavern. He stops sooner at the well.
Okay.
Starts pawing around in the dust, where there's still a bit of a blood stain from presumably whatever it is that happened here.
Alright. Antoria will get down and help him search if the old man doesn't seem to try and stop him. Investigation check? Oh, he found it. What do you find?
Lifts up perfect obsidian loop.
History or appraisal as appropriate to see if this has any meaning?
Sure.
Okay. Well, that will be a 17 if investigation can do it. It's a 13 if it has to be history.
If it has any particular significance, you're not familiar with it.
Okay. Interesting. Oh, there. Thank you. He puts 3 more silver in the cup. Is there anything else you can tell me? It's alright if it's not. You've earned what I gave you already, but... Fair enough. Silver.
Except another loop.
Another loop.
Puts it in his own bowl.
Antoria holds out 3 silver and points at the loop. Okay, so now I have 2. Does the fact that I now have 2 of them, I'm looking at both, are they identical?
They look pretty identical, yeah.
Like rings?
They're like rings. They're too big to be a finger ring, but they're too small to be a bracelet for anyone that's not a halfling or a child.
Okay, so they're probably not armor pieces of
No, but you wouldn't want to make your armor out of obsidian anyway.
True, but You never know.
No, that's true.
People get desperate for protection sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
How to protect myself? What if my armor was made of knives?
Let's see. So I've got 2 obsidian loops. Antoria will investigate the area himself now that he's gotten kind of the idea. 16?
16. You're able to find 3 more loops hidden in the dust and the dirt.
Alright. Looking at all 5 of them now, is anything coming to mind about what these could be?
They simply, I mean, it's not uncommon to see like hoops or links or that kind of thing as like strange like artisan jewelry or that kind of thing. But these aren't really made like, they're solid loops. There's not like a interconnecting bit, so it's unlikely that they were chained with one another or anything like that. But maybe they were just...
I guess if someone had their hand cut off and was wearing a bunch of them, it's very likely they would
Sure,
fall
that's true,
off.
yeah. If there was like a band or something like that that was chaining them all together.
Well, we died here. Do these have any particular value as obsidian loops?
I mean, they're very well crafted. You could probably get a gold or 2 for them individually, selling them to the right guy.
Right, but they're nothing else Dagan would be likely to care much about having returned, even if they did belong to him.
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, because they're not that valuable or even...
I mean, if they did belong to him, maybe they're mementos of some kind, so difficult to say. They're not inherently valuable.
Okay, is the old man still here?
He is asleep.
Oh, he's asleep. Alright, well, Antoria will return then to his second vigil, where he was keeping sight on the general area, and Tander was watching the general area of the door of the building and door that we think is coming to be interesting.
That is what?
The one that Lord Soren was kind of hanging out outside. We're back to watching that area
Sure,
again.
the one where nothing has happened.
Yeah, but that's what happened to him too, and then something did happen.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Very frowns a little. How late is it at this point?
It's maybe like 10 at night.
All right. What time was it when I was at House? Antoria was at House Dagan and was getting lectured about the fact the Lord was dead.
It was like 8 at night then.
So it had already happened long before this point in the night. By the sound of it, then, if it was 8 when you heard about the murder yesterday, it must have happened before 8 yesterday, and it's 10 today.
Yes. I mean, the murder definitely happened before you heard about it.
Yeah, so before 8, okay. Alright, Antoria will do one more thing then. He'll actually actively investigate that area around the door, now that it's dark and he has a little bit of cover anyway. And Tanger will help. Let's see, got another letter to you. Antoria's was a 13, Tanger's was a 17.
It definitely looks like it's the sort of place that's seen a lot of traffic. You can tell that there's a fair number of heavy footsteps that have gone in and out. But that said, you haven't seen a whole lot of traffic there this evening.
Alright.
The most else you can tell is the door is definitely locked.
Alright. In that case, here's what we will do. I will have Tanger stay there, and Antoria will go look for a room for the night.
Okay.
To sleep until the morning.
Sure. It's pretty darn easy to find a place to stay in this part of town.
Okay. He tries to find one of the better ones, maybe. But...
Okay. I see how it's going. You find a place that's willing to put you up for 8 gold.
It must be a much better one. Alright.
I mean, they might just be overpriced.
Yeah, they're probably overpriced. But
Once you get in, you can tell that they're probably just overpriced. But you managed to get your own room, so...
that does count for a lot.
Yes.
Alright. So Antoria will sleep while Tanger keeps guard over there.
Sure.
But before Antoria goes to sleep, he will try to rig, not a trap, but sort of an alarm. There's no window in this room, right? Or
No.
Okay, just the door. So he will, using a bit of rope and his...
I mean, there's like a little like hole, like the size of a brick, to like let air in.
Okay, he's not worried about that. He's worried about the door. He's going to try and use rope and his non-masterwork dagger to rig something that will just basically make noise if the door is opened.
Okay.
Which I guess what he'll do with that is he'll tie a rope to the handle or knob on his side and leave it a little longer than it needs to be to touch the floor and tie that into the dagger so that presumably when the door opens, especially if someone's not expecting it, the dagger will kind of scrape along.
Sure. Give me a survival check.
Okay. God, I'm having flashbacks when I tried to do that bit of tailoring work to hide and it took like
Oh man, I
went
forgot
through
about
four
that.
sets of robes trying to make a loincloth that could hide something.
We all have our gifts.
Well, this time I rolled a total of 23.
Well, you feel pretty confident about this little system you've rigged up for yourself.
Cool. And then Antoria will go to sleep while Tanger continues to watch that area.
Yep. The evening passes uneventfully.
Okay.
Andrew doesn't report any peculiar goings-on overnight.
Alright. Troy wakes up and after talking with Tanger, sends him back to the pocket dimension with a thank you. Looks the black hoops in his hand. Well crafted. Alright. Antoria will head to the artisan district.
Okay.
Specifically looking for someone who and this might be the obsidian district too. If that sounds more logical to him, he'll go there instead. But he's looking for someone who might have crafted objects like these.
Yeah, the obsidian quarter I think is exactly what you're looking for there.
Alright, then he will head back to the obsidian quarter.
Sure. A couple of questions suggest that practically any obsidian artisan worth their salt would be capable of creating one of these. Most of the time they're crafting weapons or something like that, so it's not necessarily the case that everyone has these made, but it's a relatively straightforward thing to make, and actually plenty of people have things that aren't exactly the same thing, but pretty close on sale in their displays.
Let's see. Well, taking the... it'll look very closely at one of them.
Okay.
Is there like a maker's mark or anything that he can find?
Nothing like that. They're not so fancy as that. They're simply precisely made.
Precisely made. Okay, so while anyone could make them, maybe not everyone makes them precisely, or does he get the impression everyone actually can make them pretty precisely if they...
Well, remember, you're in the one city where there's very fine specifications for everything.
That is true. That is true. All right.
People make their stuff sloppily. The yellowcoats come calling.
Indeed.
Cloaks.
Alright. Let's see. Let's take it that further then. And I assume there's a lot of these obsidian artisans, right? A fair number of them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, blindly asking them about it doesn't seem like it would be a good approach. Lose a lot of Sherlock Holmes points trying it that way. Alright.
As you're wandering about outside, someone taps you on the shoulder.
Antoria turns.
You turn, and as a matter of fact, it's the bartender from the Obsidian Quarter bar that you stopped in yesterday.
Hello.
Did you find her?
I did.
Just in time, then.
Antoria seems to already know what the fellow's going to say. She passed away then.
Last night.
Peacefully, I hope.
Hope that it was a good visit. It was what you were looking for.
It was.
I'm actually on my way to pay respects, if you want to join me.
I would, yes.
Continues on his way, actually leading just out of town.
Alright.
Taking sort of the long way around, going to the west side of the city, where passing the mighty mountains that make up the backbone of Hamanu's kingdom, sort of going around the corner, there's almost an entire other city all of its own.
Oh, wow.
Where there is, it's basically just a massive grave. There's all kinds of individual plazas for current noble houses and older noble houses that have long since gone extinct. And there are places for the Templars and places for merchant lords. And in the back, in a much plainer but much larger sort of area, is a place where the common folk can be put to rest, so that Hamanu can watch over them for the remainder of their stay here in Athos. There's just a small little congregation, just maybe like 3 or 4 people. With a tarp over the body and a hole already dug. If you're obliging, maybe there's something you'd like to say.
Kind of quietly nods and seems to be thinking it over. I did not know Aga as well as I would have liked to. Fate in my travels took me from the city for a great deal of time. But from what I knew of her, she was a kind and hard-working woman. You don't find her sort often, even in Hamanu's blessed kingdom. She was special, and she deserves to be watched over in whatever comes after our lives here.
Lion be praised.
Lion be praised.
We'll pick up from there, I think, next week.
Awesome.
Good game.
Good game. I don't know if I did a very good job of entertaining anyone while you were helping.
Oh, I'm sure you were fine.
Oh, wow.
I think Squeaky helped pick up the slack with a good otter video or 2.
Oh, that was actually, I suggested that. So
Yeah,
that actually
perfect.
worked out.
Yeah, what would we do without him?
Thank you, Squeaky.
Thank you, Squeaky. What would we do without you?
Good. Oh, wow.
Paula, what would we do without you? Oh, goodness. Well, goodness. Antoria clearly still has some other stuff going on here in Uric. You're going to have to wait until next Monday to find out what's going on there. We'll continue this side quest then. But tomorrow, we'll have the full gang in the house. The boys, as they say, will be back in town. And we will continue our adventures with Herbie's other long-lost character and the rest of the gang in a very special episode, not merely because we're in the Road of Fire, not merely because it'll be our 75th episode, but because tomorrow is our 2-year streamiversary.
It is, isn't it?
We will have been doing this for 2 years. That's crazy. That's kind of nuts.
That's way longer than any other D&D campaign I've ever been a part of.
Being a part of a long-running D&D campaign at all is, like, incredible. But, like, to have been able to have done this in this format in the way that we've been able to do it is just incredible. I'm so thankful for everyone that's made it happen. And I'll talk a lot more about that tomorrow, I think. So I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. I'm looking forward to doing more next week. And I'm looking forward to killing the rest of the party tomorrow. So, see you then. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.